Three, two, one, and we're rolling. What's up, bro?
What's up? I found some stuff out from a
okay.
book I'm reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Right.
Which, if you haven't read or anyone listening
I haven't
or
read
watching,
it, but you told me a little bit about it, and it sounded like you've been getting a lot of pretty good knowledge from it.
I
so
have.
far.
It's honestly probably the best book I've read.
Yeah.
Well, and then his other dad, his real dad, I think he had a PhD and 2 masters. Super smart dude, super intelligent dude, and he wasn't actually poor. It was just he every time he made more money, he obviously added on more bills. So he never had more income than he did bills. So that's why he called him poor dad, even though he wasn't really poor. Whereas his rich dad had his assets pay for all of his liabilities, which is huge. And that's what's actually considered wealth. So wealth isn't saying you have $1 million,
like $1 billion or whatever.
Yeah. Wealth is if your assets can pay for your liability. So if you have a $200 car payment per se, and you have, say, real estate cash flowing $200 every month, then you're technically wealthy because you don't have any bills to pay. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're at a zero or if you're at a positive, obviously even more wealthy. And that's what you want to get to. You don't want to obviously off of your regular income be paying for all the stuff every month. Yeah. You just go into negatives. So
interesting.
The
book really puts things into perspective for people.
Oh yeah.
Because that's not had you not explained this to me, if you told me to talk about what wealth is, that's definitely not the way that I would have explained it.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been the way I explained it either until reading this book. So it's honestly, it's a huge eye opener for me, and hopefully even for people listening and watching right now, because I had no clue. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And obviously I've been learning this stuff for a long time. I've never looked at it that way. I just thought, well, hey, money. You have money. Yep. Which is
you have a lot of money. That's it. That's all there is to it.
No, as long as you have your assets obviously positively cash flowing and they're covering all your bills. Yeah. No, you're doing good. You're wealthy.
Exactly.
Because then all your extra money you make, that's just money you get to keep. It's not money you have to give into anything else. Make sense?
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. And he also, actually, I was wanting to tell you, because I know we're working on our business, and this is something I recommended at the time when first starting, but we didn't get into it. Corporations is another thing that he goes over in this book. He doesn't go into it into detail, but he explains the gist of it basically. So I'll do that for everyone here. He talks about how, so a regular job, or even just regular people, not even just a regular job, regular people, for the most part, they pay, obviously they get their paycheck. Yeah. The government takes their money out of it. They take the taxes.
Right.
And then you get whatever's left over, which sucks. Yeah. Everyone hates it. I don't think there's one person. I don't think there's one person that can be like, I love that. So,
well, and it's funny, all the kids growing up in high school that would get their first jobs and be all hyped about the paycheck that they were going to get, and then they realize that taxes get taken out, and they're like, what?
Yeah. Well, and then so what's cool about corporations is it's flipped. So you get your income, and then you pay for all your bills and what you need to pay for, and then you get taxed on what's left over, which is obviously huge. It's a whole nother game. Huge. It's a whole nother game, and that's how the rich get richer. And it's something that people don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something, if you have a business, or say you have stocks, or say you have real estate, right? Anything that's an asset, you should definitely have a corporation, and it doesn't even cost you much to start. Especially, you could look up an S corp or look up a C corp on the internet, and you'll be able to fill one out in a few minutes, and it'll cost anywhere from $100 to maybe a few $100, depending on where you go. And to save that much money in taxes every year, could be huge.
Yeah, no, it makes that seem minimal.
Yeah, well, and it allows you to go back and put more into assets, and like, you get what I mean. So it just ends up becoming this full circle, and that's why these rich and wealthy people get to where they are, because they know stuff.
Both of these things you've learned from this book.
Both of these things I learned from this book just alone.
And those two things, that's some important information.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Well,
we were talking about the stock market a lot recently, and you were explaining a lot about what you were doing with the market right now, especially during this time, and I wanted to kind of dive a little bit into that and see what you were doing right now.
Yeah. So right now, a lot of people don't recommend buying, and I think it's because a lot of people like to buy and then they like to sell really fast. And I don't think that's the way you should invest unless you're a really really advanced trader. Like you have a lot of experience and
right. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing.
Well, and you have to when you're doing day trading per se, you're have to
putting all your energy and time into it, huh?
Yeah, you have to be reading all sorts of stuff about the one company before you even do it, because otherwise it's a gamble. You don't want to gamble, you want an investment.
Right.
They're completely two different things.
Yeah.
So if you just go in and you just buy a stock, you know nothing about it, that's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't know what you're going in and buying.
For sure, yeah.
But if you go in and you read about it, you learn about it, you see what they're doing, how their growth is, who's the CEO of the company, and how are they going to change the world? That's a big thing. If they're not going to change the world, I probably wouldn't invest in them either. That's a recommendation. So I would definitely look into that. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm actually buying quite a bit of stock because it's all so low. And I'm buying for the long term because we're 19 years old right now.
Yeah.
And I'm buying for the long term. So I'm putting in $100 or so about every week and just trying to build my portfolio. Obviously, I don't have a ton of money right now. But I think definitely in the long term, if I do $100 every single week, by the time I'm probably 30, even 40, and so on, it's going to grow all by itself.
Yeah.
Because I don't plan on taking any money out of it. The only reason why I'm going to sell stuff is to go rebuy more stuff.
Right. Well, and that's what you were telling me the other day was that, a lot of times people are scared to do that kind of thing because the market dips and they see the dips and they're, it freaks them out and they think they're losing money. And so they sell off. They sell off and
well, and that's what we've seen even in the last few weeks
right
and
now.
few months. Yeah, it's a perfect example.
And you've kept your money there.
I've kept my money the entire time. Actually, I started one of my portfolios I have in stock trading is on Robinhood. And I just put $800 and I'm like, hey, let's see what I could do with this. And however much time. Well, I bought Tesla right at the beginning, and I rode Tesla all the way up from the mid 500s up to the mid 900s.
My roommate Luke had done that too, and he was riding it high, man.
Yeah, I rode it almost to the top, and I'm like, okay, as soon as it gets to like that 900 point, if it gets to it, I have to sell off,
right?
Because I don't want to lose the money that I just made. And that's also you have to know a stopping point for you. When you're entering. Otherwise, you might hold on too long, and then you're gonna watch it go up to 500, and then you're gonna watch it go back down to 500, and you never sold, and then you're like, shoot, where did I miss out?
Yeah.
So I sold off. I ended up having 1,200 in this account within a few days, which isn't normal. Like it was a day trade, and I wouldn't always recommend that. Like I said, I just have some experience, so that's what I chose to do.
Right.
I sold it off, and then I bought a bunch of other different stocks. A lot of they're called blue cap or high chip stocks. Worth a lot more. They're not so volatile. They just move very slowly over time. But if you look from the beginning of time when the stock market started to today, the S&P 500, the stock market in general, it only goes up. I mean, obviously they have the dip, so it'll go up and then it'll go down a little bit, and then it'll go up and then it'll go down a little bit, and then it'll go up. But over time, it goes up. The only reason why the stock market would ever not keep going up as if the whole entire economy, the U.S. economy, the world economy fails. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you are probably almost completely fine buying and just holding long term. And if you're someone that it scares you to look at your portfolio when things are going bad, don't look at it.
Yeah.
And I even did that for the first few days because I watched my account go from 1,200 all the way down to 600. And now it's back at 950. So obviously it's already coming back. So there really is no reason to sell off because then you're cutting your losses.
And one thing we were talking about earlier, we were talking about these people that are worried about, losing money. And something you were telling me once you get back to work at Starbucks is you're just going to take a little bit of your money from each paycheck and just a tiny bit so that you don't really feel as though you're risking much by doing it. You're just setting a tiny bit of money aside to invest.
Yeah, no, and you could set any amount of money aside. You could put $10 a week in.
So for people that might feel uncomfortable,
start with a small number.
Yeah,
start with a small number.
Start small, and that's then what hold, and you'll start to see those numbers grow.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoying. We hope our new YouTube viewers are also going to enjoy it.
From YouTube, thanks y'all. Appreciate you guys.
And obviously, if you're interested in what we're talking about, and you have friends that are interested as well, go tell them about what we're doing, and maybe we could help them out too. So don't be shy to tell other people about what's going on, you might be able to even help your friends out. You get what I mean by sharing them this podcast and this YouTube channel. So I hope you guys all have a good one. And like always, we're going to be posting on Mondays for podcasts.
Sounds good. Yep. Tune in on Mondays.
All right. Peace. Well, have a good one. Peace out.